Folks, my name's Dan McLaughlin. I'm the auctioneer. I just want to tell you, you all have a rare opportunity today. We don't have absolute auctions with no minimum bid very often, especially in such a great neighborhood. I can tell you that my family lives in this neighborhood in the summertime. You'll probably see my kids and I riding our bikes up the street. It's a fantastic neighborhood. There's been 2 houses that have sold in the last 5 years on this street alone for in excess of $1 million. This property is assessed for approximately $700,000, and we're hoping to get close to market value for it today, or more maybe. Who knows, Joe, right? The successful bidder will be required to sign an agreement to purchase real estate at public auction. This is effectively the purchase and sale agreement. It's not negotiable, so if you have your lawyer with you, or if you happen to be a lawyer, we're not going to change any of the terms of it. I can answer any questions that the qualified bidders may have after I read this document. Okay, it's agreement to purchase real estate at public auction, November 18, 2011, 16 Mirasol Lane, Harwich, Port, Mass. The bid price will be outlined. Added to that bid price will be the 5% buyer's premium, and those two sums will comprise the total purchase price. This agreement accounts for the $25,000 deposit that was paid this day, and there's a balance due. The closing date will take place on December 21, 2011, or another mutually agreed upon time. I hereby acknowledge that I have this day purchased at public auction of Daniel P. McLaughlin & Company, LLC, the real estate referenced above for the purchase price. As stated above, I agree to pay the balance of the purchase price to the seller on or before the closing date as stated above. I shall comply with these terms of sale as well as the additional terms attached hereto as Exhibit A. Upon payment of the entire purchase price, the seller shall deliver to the purchaser or nominee, as the case may be, a good and sufficient quitclaim deed conveying all the seller's right, title, and interest to the subject property. If the seller is unable to deliver good, clear, record, marketable title of the premises, then all deposits shall be refunded to the buyer and all obligations of the parties hereto shall cease, and this agreement shall be of no further effect. The buyer will have the option, however, to accept the title to the property that the seller can deliver without deduction in the purchase price. The parties acknowledge that, with the exception of a septic certificate of compliance, there are no further contingencies contained herein, and if the buyer fails to deliver the balance of the purchase price at the time and date appointed for the closing, then the seller shall retain the buyer's deposit as liquidated damages. Additional terms of sale. 1, the successful bidder should be required to sign the auction sale agreement and endorse his or her deposit check upon acceptance of the bid. Said deposit shall be held in escrow by the auctioneer and accounted for at closing. 2, prior to the commencement of the bidding, all those who wish to qualify to bid must present the required deposit check to the auctioneer in cash or certified funds. 3, if the successful bidder shall fail to fulfill his or her part of the agreement, then the deposit shall be forfeited and become the property of the seller. In the event of a default, the seller reserves the right, at the seller's sole discretion, to sell the property to the second highest bidder. 4, the successful bidder should be responsible for all recording charges, including Massachusetts excise tax stamps, as well as a premium of 5%, which will be added to the bid price to comprise the total purchase price. 5, the auctioneer in his sole discretion shall determine the bidding increments. Bids shall only be accepted in increments acceptable to the auctioneer. 6, the parties acknowledge that this is an absolute auction and the seller is obligated to sell the property to the highest bidder regardless of price. 7, real estate taxes, utilities, and other necessary adjustments shall be made at the time of closing. 8, if the seller is unable to deliver to the buyer good, clear, record, and marketable title, then all deposits held by the seller shall be refunded to the buyer, and this agreement shall be null and void without further recourse to the parties hereto. The buyer may elect, however, to accept such title as the seller can deliver without deduction in the purchase price. 9, the buyer agrees that he or she is purchasing the property as is and where is, without warranty or representation of any kind whatsoever. The only exception being that the seller agrees to deliver a Title V septic certificate of compliance at the time of closing. 10, the buyer further agrees that he or she is taking title of the property subject to all known and unknown defects and subject to all local, state, and federal regulations concerning the use and occupancy of the premises. 11, closing shall take place at the Barnstable County Registry of Deeds at 2:00 p.m. on December 21, 2011, or at such other time and place as may be mutually agreed upon by the parties. 12, the buyer and seller agree that the agreement to purchase real estate at public auction and the additional terms of sale attached hereto as Exhibit A contain the entire agreement of the parties with respect to the sale of the premises, signed by the seller, signed by myself as the auctioneer, and signed by the buyer. And by the way, this agreement is already signed by the seller, even though there's no purchase price filled in yet. So. Folks, is there anyone else who'd like to qualify to bid at this point? Anyone else planning on bidding today? Are there any questions from qualified bidders? Pen for me. Thanks. Smart crowd. No questions? Okay, if there's no one else who'd like to qualify, no questions from qualified bidders, then we will commence the bidding. 16 Mirasol Lane, Harwich, Port, Mass. Assessed value of approximately $700,000. How much for it, folks? Who'll start it off? What's your pleasure? How much? Who'll start it? You start it wherever you want, folks. Who'll start it off, folks? Anybody give me an opening bid? Who'll start it off at $250? $250,000 out back, and now $300. $250 is the bid and $300,000. Where? $250 bid and $300 I have. $250 is the bid and $300. $300 I have, and now $350. $300 is the bid and $350. $300,000 bid and $350,000. $350,000. I've got $300 bid and $350. $350,000 the bid and now $4. $350 is the bid and $4. $350 bid and $400. $350,000 bid and $400,000, folks. $400,000 the bid, $450. $400 is the bid and $450. I've got $400,000 bid over here and $450 is where? $400 is the bid. $450 I have. $450,000 bid and $500. $450 is the bid and $5. $450,000 bid and $500, folks. I've got $450,000 bid. Anybody give me $500,000? $450 is bid over here. Anybody $500? $500,000 the bid and $5 1/4. $500's bid and $5 1/4. I've got $500 bid and $5 1/4. $5 1/4 the bid and now $550. $525's the bid and $550. $525,000 bid and $550. I've got $525,000 bid. $550 to you, ma'am. $525 is the bid and $550. We've got $525,000 bid out back. Anybody give me $550,000? $5 1/4 is the bid once. Anybody give me $550,000? $525,000 bid twice. Anybody $550? $530? Is that what you're trying to say to me? $530,000. And now $40. $530 is the bid and $40. $530,000 the bid and $540 is where? I've got $530 bid in the front here. Anybody give me $540,000? $530's bid and $40. I've got $530,000 bid once. Anybody give me $540,000? $530,000 bid twice. Anybody $540? $540,000 and $50 to you. $540 is the bid, $550. $540,000 bid and $550. $540 and $550. $540,000 the bid and $550. $550,000. I've got $540,000 bid once over here and $550. $540,000 twice. Anybody give me $550,000? Did we mention you can walk to the beach? You can walk to Allen Harbor. You can practically throw a rock into the harbor from here. $540,000 bid. Third and final call, folks. Any advance on $540,000? Anybody $545,000? $545,000 anywhere? Everybody done? Satisfied? You done? Sold, $540,000. Folks, if the qualified bidders want to remain until we have the memorandum of sale signed and the deposit check in hand, then we will announce that the sale is officially completed. Okay?